Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So the king is now involved in the Epstein scandal. I need to change that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you live in the United Kingdom, it turns out now the king is involved. Now, before I get on to this, I just want to. Sometimes I do gloss over things that I think are so obvious, and like last night in the chat, people were saying, "Oh, Sean, you're not mentioning the connections between Epstein and Israel." I've absolutely mentioned that so many times. That kind of doesn't interest me. It's there, it's given. The stuff that interests me is the stuff that's wild, right? The stuff that's insane. So when I'm going to talk about the king now, the king's involvement he's not been named, but he's got involved. What I'm just going to say right from the get-go is there's a clear connection between the king, the King Charles, and what's his name? I forget. It's Savile, right? There's a clear connection. They were friends. They were absolutely friends. So it kind of seems we're just glossing over that, right? And nobody talks about that anymore. That's done. That's over. That's finished. That's that's old news. If you guys can remember when this happened, go on. When Prince when Prince Andruka, when Prince Andrew went from Prince Andrew to just Andy Windsor. If you guys can remember when that happened, I did a video and I said, listen, ladies and gentlemen, something huge is coming. Something huge. And whatever it is, it's so big, it's going to... little things do not take down princes. Like the prince, he's a prince, and these Epstein files essentially have taken down the prince. I would speculate that the King Charles's choice to abandon Andy Windsor and cast him out like the leper is all about self-preservation. But anyway, that's what we're going to talk about this morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be talking about the king's involvement now in the Epstein files. So before I get onto it, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit those bell notifications down below with your fantastic fingers. I love you guys, fantastic fingers. I do. You guys have got some fantastic fingers. Right, let's just get into this, guys, okay? So imagine for a moment the weight of a crown, not the glittering symbol that we see on state occasions, but the invisible burden carried day by day by a man who wears it. Today, that man is King Charles III. And today, once again, the shadow of Jeffrey Epstein falls across Buckingham Palace, across the House of Windsor, and all the king's, all the king's close horses and all the king's men. So it was only yesterday, the 9th, that Buckingham Palace issued a rare, pointed statement. The words were measured, carefully chosen, and yet they carried unmistakable gravity. I don't think the royal family don't usually get involved in these sort of things. Do you know what? I remember something a while ago. Right. Something's just come to my head then. I can remember years ago, there being a statement from the royal family saying that the claims made by an ex-employee were so ridiculous and untrue or something like that. I can't remember. I think that was some sort of blood-sucking thing. Anyway, the king has made clear in words and through an unprecedented action his profound concerns at allegations which continue to come into light in respect of Andy Windsor's conduct. Profound concerns, not mild regret, not passing disappointment, profound, a word that speaks of depth, of something felt to the core. There's no abstract. The allegations are fresh and damning. Claims that Andy Windsor, once Prince Andy, the King's younger brother, and a key figure in British trade diplomacy, forwarded confidential reports, sensitive government documents from his time as special envoy directly to Jeffrey Epstein. We all know who Jeffrey Epstein is, right? Thames Valley Police are now assessing whether there are grounds for an investigation. You see how all this is coming to light now, guys? Can you see how all this is coming to light? Like, can you guys see how things happen? Tiny little things happen. Months in advance. You've got to ask yourself why. Why are these little things happening? And then it turns out, I know this is not a tiny little thing, but it turns out removing the royal princehood from Andy Windsor, turns out it looks like he might be doing jail time. I don't know. You see, that's a clear indication, right? That is clear indication that the royal family, that the crown, knew about these files being released months in advance, right? Months in advance, and they might have said, "Listen, Charlie, we don't want the royal family to come down, but we're gonna release these files, and it's gonna be pretty damning to Andrew, and he's probably gonna do jail time. You need to get rid of him." Oh, okay. Can you see how that works? Everything's planned well in advance. So it looks like Prince Andrew may be investigated for misconduct in public office, breach of the Official Secrets Act, a complaint from the anti-monarchy group called Republic has set this in motion, and the palace has responded not with deflection but with a pledge. If approached, we stand ready to support them as you would expect. So what they're saying is they will support the police in any investigation. I don't know where we're going with this, guys. I would say not a chance is a member of the royal family going to be sent to prison. But you know what? He's not a member of the royal family anymore, is he? He's just Andy Windsor now. He's just Andy Windsor. Consider what this means coming from King Charles, the king. Already taking the unprecedented steps against his own brother, stripping him of his prince title, evicting him from the royal lodge, distancing the institution he now leads from a man whose associations have tainted the family name. Yet here we are again, new documents from the Epstein files, igniting the fire, emails forward sent mere minutes after the receipt. A closeness that went beyond the social into the realm of official, handing over official secrets, basically. And the king, he spoke out not in defense, but of concern, and cooperation with the police. This is survival for the royal family, guys. This is absolute the royal family are in survival mode. I've said quite a few times, I don't think there's going to be a King William. I don't think there's going to be a King William. Oh, that's still too hot. You've got to understand the king as well. We're talking about the British royal family. Can you imagine how it has to come down, guys. The royal family has to come down. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying I don't agree with it. I'm saying it's going to happen. We can't be part of the United States if we have a king, right? I don't know how that would work. So what I think is going to happen, what we are seeing right now is the end to the royal family. That's what I should have. That's what I should have as the title of this live stream. The end to the royal family. That's what I should have. The end to the royal family. We are seeing the beginning to the end to the royal family. I think Britain is going to go back to I think there was 12 barons of Britain. Britain will be carved up into like 12 pieces, and they will be, I would say they're going to be like independent states, and then they're just going to be and then that will just be part of the United States. It's not going to happen soon. There's going to be a lot of trouble first. There's going to be a lot of violence. But can you imagine that state of violence? Monarchy, gone. Police, gone. Government, nobody cares. People will be on their own. And the more I've always worked. I've always been to these places, these hostile environments overseas, and I've never had to worry about my family. Never had to worry about my family. I've had to worry about myself, obviously. It's a different kind of fear when you're thinking about your family. Absolutely different kind of fear when you're thinking about your family. I look at things now with a totally different. I look at things now with a totally different. I guess I look at things with using different metrics now. I think about my time in, other countries when I've been helping people, and for example, in Irpin and Bucha back in 2022. Those people in Irpin and Bucha, the Ukrainians, northern Kiev, they went from everything was fine. Literally, everything was fine. Literally, a day later, the country's being invaded. Half of their city's being blown up, and people are fleeing across a river because the bridge is being blown up. People holding their children, trying to wade across this river with their luggage. There was a road, and the Ukrainian military didn't have I can't remember what the road was called. The road from, I think it's Irpin into because is it like Irpin and Bucha? The road into Kiev, into Kiev. The Ukrainian military, well, it wasn't even the military, but the Ukrainian resistance, I guess, because it was just civilians. They'd made checkpoints, but they didn't have the forces to push into Bucha. So all they could do was hold this line. And there was like civilians just walking down this road, just like with nothing. Just they knew that to get on that road. Unless you've seen this in real time, like how quickly things can go bad, like you really have no idea what's coming. Anyway, sorry, I'm going on a side quest. Let me finish this and then I'll come on to the chat. So this is a monarch that spent decades preparing for the role as king, advocating for the environment, for architecture, for charity. A man who has spoken movingly about duty of service, of need for institutions to evolve and earn their place. But duty now demands something harder, confronting the failings within his own bloodline. And if you guys want to talk about bloodlines, I'm going to be on straight after this, and I'm going to do I hope it's going to be today. Every time I'm going to do another video, guys, on bloodlines and some wild stuff. Publicly affirming that no one is above the law and no one is above scrutiny, even a former prince. His words signal a break from silence, a willingness to let the institutions of law do their work. It's a statement that protects the monarchy by refusing to shield the individual. So all this stuff's been set out a long time ago, right? All this stuff's been knowledge a long time ago. Somebody must have told the royal family or Charles and the king. I mean, can you imagine the fall from grace that these guys are going to have? What was it? Not Queen Anne. Princess Anne. Princess Anne once came to the barracks, right? And so Princess Anne once came to the barracks, and I remember the absolute faff of cleaning everything. Literally, like the Land Rovers, right? So Land Rovers are painted in... Land Rovers are painted in a dull green, like a non-reflective green, right? Because you don't want your Land Rovers reflecting light. So Army Land Rovers they're painted in like I said, dull, like a dull I don't know what it's called, matte green, like a matte olive green. Some of them painted desert, but ours were green at the time. Now, that's for a tactical reason, right? I can remember when Princess Anne was coming. Everybody had to go, and because like each company, A, B, C, maybe did we have D company? A, B, C, D, and support company. They all have their own vehicles. They all have different vehicles, etc. And I remember everybody had to go out with oily rags and wipe all the vehicles down so they looked shiny because Princess Anne was coming. The grass, there was a little, where the med center was, there was like, people used to walk over the grass to go to the med center. It was only maybe like 6 feet long, but rather than go to the path, people just used to walk over this little thing to the grass. So there was no grass on it. That got painted. That bit of grass got painted because God forbid if the princess's eyes saw mud, saw mud. Oh, my eyes, it's mud. There should be grass there. The wheels on the bus go round and round. The wheels on all the trucks, people had boot polish, and we had to boot polish the wheels on the trucks. And I'm thinking, like, do these people go around the world, and think that is reality? Because they don't see reality. They literally do not see reality. So I can only imagine, how, like, the king, what his perception of reality is. I don't think, like, it's very difficult, and I'm not meaning this negatively, and I'm not saying anyone's done anything wrong. I'm just saying, like, imagine you're the King of England, right? You're the king. Do you know what Carol and John at number 42, do you know what they're going through in their daily lives when they're struggling to put food on the table? Are you going to champion that? No, of course not. You've got no context for that. You've no idea what that means. It's just the way it is. So in his moment, King Charles embodied a difficult truth. True leadership sometimes requires acknowledging shadows rather than banishing them with denial. His profound concern is not just for the allegations themselves, but what they mean for the victims of Epstein's crimes. Well, I can't look. I will address this. All right, I can't remember him ever saying, anybody ever saying, "What about the victims of Savile's crimes? What about the victims of the grooming gangs in the United Kingdom? What about those victims? Are we only concerned about Epstein's crimes? Why? What is that? Why are we only concerned with what? I don't know. I would think, that we should, charity starts at home. And for the future of the monarchy, striving to remain relevant in a world that demands accountability. And the monarchy, it's slipping out of context. It really is. Day by day, the monarchy is slipping out of context. The crown is enduring at the moment, but it does seem like the king's involvement now. It does seem like the royal family are really worried about what's in these Epstein files. And I still don't think so to get the Epstein files, right, you have to go onto the DOJ website, the US Department of Justice website, and you have to search Epstein files, and it comes up, you click it, and then you have to download those files, right? There's literally millions of them, right? There's millions of them. This is why it's taking so much time to come out. People are sifting through them, right? People are naturally sifting through them and trying to connect the dots. We're getting all these dots. It's like, imagine a big puzzle, right? Those dot-to-dot coloring books you used to get? and you get 1, 2, 3, 4. You look at it, you're like, oh, I don't know what that is. And then once you start doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oh, it's a chicken. It's a rooster. That's kind of like an explanation of what the Epstein files are. It's like a big dot to dot, but we don't know where number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is. At some point, it's going to take a while. At some point, somebody will do everything and it will all be out. It's not there yet, but we are moving towards that. Remember, what I've seen so far is not big enough to bring down a prince. So I'm expecting something a lot bigger to come out. Right, let me jump onto the chat, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll see what's happening. Right, ladies and gentlemen, Gerald de Riviera is saying, do you think the British monarchy should be more worried about the mass? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. I absolutely do think that. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's so insane. It doesn't even make sense. Slim Yin is saying it's a baby eating. It's some crazy stuff, right? Some crazy stuff happening. Listen, what I want to say is, there's all these things going around. I've still not seen the smoking gun. I've genuinely still not seen the. I've not seen the smoking gun yet, guys. I've not seen the smoking gun. There was something released that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly ordered like 50 barrels of like sulfuric acid or something to Epstein Island, and they're saying that's to dissolve certain things, then dump them in the ocean. I don't know, but that you can trace that, right? Because there would be a payment. There would be, you would suspect there would be a bank transfer, and then that's something tangible that you can check up on. Honestly, guys, I've still not seen. Yes, let me get this. Hang on, somebody said, Mr. Mister is saying beef jerky. No, it wasn't beef jerky. It's just jerky, guys. I've seen it all. I've still not seen any smoking gun. I've still not seen any smoking gun to this. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying there's some wild stuff out there, and I'm going to be on later on this afternoon, and I'm going to do an even wilder video, and I'm going to go down, and I am going to go down that road. Debbie Doobs is saying Andrew will have maybe he's going to have a car accident or something, just waiting for the right time. I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. If that was the case, then you would expect him to keep his prince, right? And then, you would expect him to still be the prince, right? So I don't know. I really don't know. If you look at the flag, Rod Panhard is saying, if you look at all the flag and bunting affairs in London over the last couple of decades, it's just a sea of white, mainly elderly faces. Where's all this wonderful multiculturalism? I don't know what I don't know what you're saying there. If you look at the flag and bunting affairs, Right. Okay. So what I think. So what I think Roddy's saying is, if you look at all the pomp and pageantry, the royal events in London over the last couple of decades, it's just a sea of mainly white elderly faces. That's because they're the only people who go out to those events, right? They are literally the only people who go out to those events. Tug's Life is saying the internet has shown the true motive as high-class people. What's been hidden before the net is scary double standards. Looks like we're the peasants outside the castle walls. I don't know. I want a castle. I feel like I need a castle, guys. Should I do a crowdfunder for like a castle or something? I feel like I need a castle. Should I just do like a crowdfunder and say, listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys, right? I need a castle. I feel I should have a castle. Xavier Basturoto. I'm just gonna. I can't pronounce your second name. I'm just gonna say Xavier. Xavier is saying it's all North American and South American ever since they crossed the ocean. Nothing changed except now that there's only 5 million natives, they have to use other races now to continue. I don't know what that means either. It's all North American and South Americans. There's some bad stuff happening in the United Kingdom. Are you saying that this practice was sent to North America from Europe, or are you saying that this sort of stuff started in North and South America, then went over to Europe? What are you saying with that? Because I think the argument would actually be it went from North and South America to Europe. Like I've never thought of that actually. You know, you've got to look at the Incans, right, and the ancient South American, the South Americans. They used to do a lot of stuff. Well, there's words you can't say because the video will get flagged, but you guys know what the South Americans used to do, right, people? They used to do things and hope. They used to do things and hope that the crops would grow. So yeah, that I never thought of that. James Brook is saying Land Rovers, lovely cars, not be mistaken for Austin Rover cars, were basically industrial farming machinery. Yeah, I think we was talking about I keep saying Queen Anne. It's not Queen Anne. Princess Anne came to the barracks once. I don't know what she was doing there. And it was just crazy how much we had to clean everything. And I remember thinking at the time, is this what it's like everywhere she goes? Does she think that, like, we actually started laughing about it. Do you think that the Princess Anne actually thinks that, like, Land Rover tires smell like boot polish? Like, do you think that's what she thinks? And to give it all a Brucey bonus, after she'd gone, we had to clean the wagons down again and get the oil off them. So it was honestly, it was just a faff. How long was she there? 5 minutes. I think she was there for about 5 minutes. Literally, she walked in. I don't even know what happened. David Campbell is saying Mountbatten was known. Charlie knew all about Savile. The Queen protected Andy and paid off. Yeah. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, look, I'm going to be... never forget Rhodesia. Never forget Rhodesia, ladies and gentlemen. You should never, ever forget Rhodesia. The beautiful country that it was. We should never forget what happened in Rhodesia, guys, because that is definitely... Listen, let us not pretend that what happened in Rhodesia cannot happen here, because it absolutely can. It absolutely can. Sorry, let me jump back down to this. David Campbell is saying... yeah, I mean, it just seems like the elephant in the room right now that nobody's and I'm literally just going to gloss over it, In fact, let me find something. Yeah, I know I've spelled that wrong. Right, I'm going to share this with you. So, I got accused yesterday of glossing over things. I'm not glossing over things. I just don't know where to go with these. I mean, I know this is an old article from 22, but, it's there, right? Nobody can deny that. Literally, nobody can deny that. Nobody. I don't know what's true. I have no idea what's true. I'm relaying information to you guys. Remember, this is not my area of expertise, and I don't claim to be an expert in this sort of stuff. I'm no expert in the occult, in blood sucking, blood ceremony. I don't even think it's real. I struggle to believe this. It's almost an impossible sell to me. Like, for me, I'm trying to think of, right, what's the real explanation here? What's the, I'm going to do a video later on. I don't want to steal my own thunder later on, but I'm going to do a video later on, like straight after this. And I'm going to say something in that video, and it's so fucking wild. Like, my brain can't compute it. We're talking about alternate physics. We're talking about manifestation. We're talking about, like, I can't even describe what I don't even know what I'm going to be talking about. If that makes any sense. But yeah, I'm absolutely not. I'm not talking about these things. I just don't know where to go with these things. Zoe Dean is saying it's time to strike the UK again. I've lost count how many times he said that now. Bloke just looks foolish. I don't see any reason why Putin would, I don't see any reason. There's no strategic reason. There's no strategic benefit of Putin striking the UK. There's zero utility in it. It'd just be a waste of time. Stell is saying, folks, get back to Christianity, start having a real community. But then what version of Christianity do you go to? Do you go Protestant? Do you go Catholic? Do you go Orthodox? Do you go Pentecostal? Like, what version of Christianity is the true one? Like, which version of Christianity? Do you go with the King James Bible that Henry VIII wrote because he wanted to divorce his wife? Like, so, like, where do you go with that? Like, what's real? Jeremiah is saying, don't need to be a Christian. Don't Christian for that, Stella. As Deb says, we don't need to be any religious beliefs to be good people, and she's right. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back on track. Okay, let's get back on track, because the king is now involved in the Epstein fallout. The king has come out and he said he's going to, basically the royal family, the king, in a press release from the Crown. I don't know whether I should be addressing that as the Crown or the king. I don't know. You guys know what I mean, right? They've come out and they've said they will cooperate with any investigation, or words to the effect of that. Now, a couple of things that I just want to bring to the forefront of everybody's consciousness is these little things happen. You can spot these things a long time before they manifest, right? So if you guys can remember, way back when Prince Andrew got kicked out and he got stripped of his royal title and he just became Andy Windsor, right? He just became Andy Windsor. I can remember doing a video and saying, listen, ladies and gentlemen, something huge is about to go down. I don't know what it is. I didn't know what it is. I wasn't pretending I did. Whatever it is, it's big enough to potentially big enough to bring down the royal family. That's why they're distancing themselves, right? That's why the royal family are distancing themselves now with Andy. I don't think they actually care. That's just me. I think they care that he's been, caught in such compromising evidence, right? Where he's leaning over the girl and the girl, like, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe he's doing CPR. You don't know. You've got to put these things in context. And what I will keep saying this, guys, right? I have not seen a smoking gun yet. I've not seen any smoking guns. Yes, I get it. There's emails, but what you've got to understand the context of those emails. We don't know the context of those emails. And look, and I'll be the first one to say if I'm wrong. I saw an email the other day, and it was let me share this email with you, right? So I just want to tell you guys what I'm talking about, okay? Show you guys what is it that one? Hang on. No, not that one, that one. Right, so let me just hang on. Right, let me share this with you. So this is an email, right? This is an email from the from the Epstein files, and someone's got this, and they're saying that this is proof that this is proof that we're all doomed. That the planet Nibiru's coming, and we're all going to be swizzled. Now, I'm just going to use this as an example, right, of how you need to know the context in all of these things, right? You need to know context for all of these things. So let me just, let me just show you what I mean, okay? So, and I know I did this yesterday, but it's a good example, right? So, hi, Jeffrey, it's me again. We don't know who this is. I learned from you. If it can't hurt, then go for it. Ask and do. I think that's fair advice, right? I think that's fair advice. Whether the person's a monster or not, that's fair advice. I wanted to reach out to ask you what your science friends think about Comet Ison, ninth planet Nibiru, etc. I know it's probably classified information, but I figure it's worth a shot. Asking you about to see if you have any information. I guess you'll be heading to NM this fall, winter. I feel so scared and sad. Any advice, like good old times? I feel the need to live up my life now and prepare as much as possible, but living here in Jersey City on my 35K salary, what can I do? WTF can I do? Okay? So this is all over the internet. People saying, breaking news! Nibiru's on its way! We're doomed! That's not what I'm getting at all. Like, when I'm reading this email, like, if I was to read this email and say what I think this email is about, somebody who met Jeffrey Epstein has his email, right? They might have had a few beers and they might have been talking about comets and, Nibiru, as everyone does. Literally, like, we all talk about this wild stuff, don't we? Oh, if the aliens come. Honestly, like, if you saw, I might take some screenshots of some of the wild messages and just, like, scribble people's names out and numbers on my phone. But some of the stuff we talk about, aliens and how to prepare the planet for defense, and I'm talking to some, like, hopefully you guys can come to work with me one day, but I talk the people on my, like, group chat, they're all, like, ex-military who have a lot of experience. And we just goof around, right? We goof around talking about this stuff. So you've got to put things in context. If somebody got one of these emails, like a WhatsApp message from me, where I'm talking about how would you defend against aliens? And we're talking about this for like a good couple of days. You've got to put these things into context. So what I'm personally getting from this email is not that we're doomed and the aliens are on their way, although they might be. What I'm getting from this is the last sentence, literally the last sentence there. I feel the need to live up my life now and prepare as much as possible. But, so we cancel what we just said, living here in Jersey City on 35 grand salary. I'm going to assume that's a year. So what I'm getting there is basically somebody asking Jeffrey Epstein for a job. That's what I'm getting. The whole first bit is blah, blah, blah. The bit at the end is, I'm skint. Jeffrey, I'm skint. Can you hook me up? That's what I'm getting, guys. That is literally what I'm getting out of that. So, it's really important to put things into context. And I've not seen, and I'm not trying to debunk things. one of the things I absolutely cannot debunk, and I cannot unsee it, and this is what's pushing me further and further down this line is the amount of celebrities that talk about pizza, eating pizza. I can't unsee that. And it's just not natural. It's not natural. Again, in my logical brain, I'm thinking, right, okay, what else could they say? Like, what else could they say? Maybe it is a conspiracy. But like, you would think, right, okay, if they say steak, we're going to have steak, people will be pissed off, right? Normal people who are poor will be pissed off that celebrities are saying, yeah, we're all eating steak. If they say, like, what are you supposed to say? Like, you know, and pizza is, I don't know, guys. I don't know. So it's just, it's one of these rabbit holes I'm going down. I am going down this, guys. I'm going down this, and I don't know where I'm going to go. Endeavour to Preserve is saying we have aliens everywhere, but I prefer to call them illegal immigrants. Listen, have you guys seen the interview with Lawrence Fishburne? Is it Lawrence Fishburne? Lawrence Fishburne? Is that his name? Lawrence Fishburne? Faushburne? The guy of Matrix. Morpheus from Matrix. The best Morpheus. Have you seen? Let me see if I've got it up here. Give me a second. I think I've actually got this. Yes, I have. Right, hang on. Let me share this. He's looking well as well. So we're talking about aliens being around us. Let's see what Lawrence, what do you think about aliens, mate?
So do you believe in aliens now after all of this research?
I think they walk among us, and I think that some of you know. I think we're all familiar with some of them. I think they're right here with us, and we just don't know who they are.
Well, that was a dark one. That was a little bit of an unexpected, That was a little bit of an unexpected side quest. So maybe aliens. And you know what I was thinking? You know, one of the things I always say, like, you know, if you know when you're driving in the countryside, right? I say this to the girls and it creeps them out. I'm going to say it to you guys, and I might be creeping you guys out as well. So when I'm driving with the girls and we're going through the countryside, right? And sometimes they have scarecrows, right, in the fields to scare off the birds, right? The scarecrows. But sometimes they will put like fake eagles or something, right? Or like fake owls, you know, birds of prey. So the little scavenger birds don't come and eat the seeds, right? So I always say to the girls, do you think those pigeons know that that's a fake bird? You see where I'm going, right? And they'll say, Daddy, stop. Daddy, stop it. Daddy, stop it. You're creeping us out. And I'll say, no. Answer the question. Do you think those pigeons know that that's a fake hawk or a fake eagle or a fake owl? They can't think it's fake, right? If they thought it was a fake owl, they would go and eat the seeds because they'd be like, yeah, that's a piece of plastic. So if humans can make a fake bird, do we think aliens could make fake humans that are just walking among us and we just don't know who they are because they're that realistic? Anyway, that always creeps the girls out when we're driving in the countryside. Daddy, stop it. Daddy, stop it. Royals are nothing. Their banker owns them. Well, maybe we are going to see this come down, guys. Listen, I've said for quite a while, I've said for quite a while, we are going to see the, I've actually said, I don't think we're going to, I've said, I do not think we are going to see a King William. I don't think we're going to see a King William. I've said that lots of times. Daz XX4 Lima Quebec is saying, Sean, have you seen the Rich Plant Alien documentary? No, I haven't. On human mutilation cover-ups in the United Kingdom. No, I've not. I've seen lots of them about the cows, like cattle mutilations in America. Like that one, that's wild to me. That's wild. Like, you know, the cattle mutilations. Daz, can you tell me where I can find that documentary, buddy? No, I've not seen that, but I've watched like probably all the videos. I've probably watched all the videos on cattle mutilations in the United States, and I've no idea what it means. I don't understand it. If what they're saying is true about these cattle mutilations, like cattle are found and there's no blood and things have been removed, it's just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't, I can't understand it. Like logically, what is that? I don't even understand. It's so wild. Sean, when did you leave the military? I left the military in 2000 at the end of 2010. Oh, hang on. James is saying Revelation 8 says in the tribulation or end times, an asteroid hits the Earth. An asteroid is flying straight at us now. It will be visible in the day in April. Asteroid is real. Jesus is real. I've actually got down here my bottle of absinthe that I called, I don't know if you guys can see it there. I don't know if you guys can see that. I called my bottle of, so this is some absinthe I made, and I actually called it Revelation 8:10, which is the specific verse in the Bible James is referring to. No, I'm not going to be drinking absinthe in the morning, guys. Not after 12. Not before 12, anyway. Crosshatch is saying space is fake. What is it then? Can you explain what it is? What is, if space is fake, what is it? Listen, another thing I said was right. Can you guys remember, like, I don't think I did these videos. If anybody's following me on TikTok, like videos I did like on TikTok a long time ago, I was talking about space exploration. I actually said, not in a million years is anyone going to Mars before we have a colony on the moon. I said that. Not in a million years is anyone. It's just absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Turns out Raven was right again. I do think Elon Musk. Do you know what I've got? Elon Musk posted something the other day, and I don't think he's following me, guys. I don't think he's following me. Maybe I'm just tuned into some sort of cosmic energy and I just get this information before everybody else. One of the tropes I always talk about on this channel is, rather than having wars and doom and gloom and death and destruction, all that energy and that human ingenuity we put into destroying other people and causing misery, if we just changed focus and started to build spaceships, wouldn't that be a better future? You know, wouldn't that be a future? You would wake up, I promise you guys, can you imagine how happy you would be? Honestly, imagine waking up to this. Imagine, instead of turning on your headlines and seeing gangs, pizza, jerky, hot dogs, you guys know what I'm talking about, right, fam? Imagine waking up, right? Imagine waking up in the morning and seeing, I don't know, Britain has just commissioned their first nuclear reactor on the moon. The Americans have just landed on a new asteroid and they're mining the gold, and then they're going to turn that into a habitat. China's got satellites around the moon and they're beaming free clean energy back to Earth. You know, the Russians have just, opened their first floating habitat on Venus. Like, wouldn't you just wake up and be excited and like you would literally want to wake up, and I don't know if any, I don't know if any of you've ever been in those, like, enjoyed your work and you wake up in the morning and you're like, yes, I get to work. Yes, I can go to work today. And then when it's Friday, you're actually pissed off because everyone's going home. And you can't wait for Monday. That would literally be like that's what it would be like living if we stopped building tanks and bombs and stuff and started to build space infrastructure. That's what, do you know what? I'm going to do a live stream on this. I'm going to do a standalone live stream on that. I am, because it's ridiculous. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump back on track, because the king is now involved in the Epstein files fallout. Britain is absolutely crumbling at the seams. If that's even a thing, splitting at the seams. Crumbling at the seams are crumbling. The seams are crumbling and they are about to split. So the king's now involved in the Jeffrey Epstein files, and the king is saying that they will cooperate with any, they will cooperate with any investigation. I had to have a look myself at these Epstein files, right? And it's like they've just been released. So they've just been released, and there's like, I think there's like, is there like 3 million documents or something? I think there's like 3 million. Just so everyone knows, that's a lot of documents, right? And you go onto the US Department of Justice website and you literally search Epstein files, and you get this link, and you click the link, and then you have to download them. So what's happening right now, and this might take a year for people to put these dots together. It's impossible for one person. It's absolutely impossible for one person to go through that, right? So what's happening is the whole of the world are trying to make sense of these Epstein files, right? They're looking at timestamps. They're trying to cross-reference things. And that's going to take time. Excuse me. It will. That will take time. So the further this goes on, the more information is going to come out. And the analogy I give is it's like doing a dot-to-dot puzzle. It's like doing a dot-to-dot puzzle, but you don't have the numbers. So you guys know you get like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you join the dots. You get like a rooster or an airplane, and you color it in. I love coloring in, guys. I do. I love a good bit of coloring in. So that's where we are at the moment. And we've got all the dots. We can see all the dots because the files have been released. We just don't know how to connect these dots. That's where we are right now. That is absolutely where we are right now. Right. Andy Yorkshire, from the Yorkshire Regiment, I presume, is saying, have you seen they are linking Ghislaine Maxwell to Madeleine McCann? Maxwell was known to be in Portugal around that time, and she is remarkably similar to a suspect. Oh, Jesus. Look, I don't even want to touch the Madeleine McCann incident. It's your worst fear, right? That is your worst fear. Like, my questions are, who goes out and leaves their kid? Who goes on holiday and leaves? Yeah, it's there's a lot of question marks. I don't know. I've not seen that. No, I have not seen that. Chris T is saying last year 750,000 foreigners registered with GPs in Britain. Yeah, it's ridiculous, guys. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm talking about migration into the United Kingdom. This is clearly, this has been clearly done at scale, right? Stop the boats. It's very easy. Stopping the boats is very easy. Militarily, I'm not even going to mention how easy it would be. We still have a military. I don't know how long, guys. Listen, do you guys know that the parachute regiment may be getting their parachutes taken away from them? I did a video about it earlier. It's so phenomenal. It's so phenomenal. Like, can you imagine? Like, sorry, I'm going on a sidetrack, right? When I was in the military, we used to go to other countries and we used to do cross training. And you'd go to some countries, I'm not, less developed countries, and they would have an airborne forces, but the country doesn't have any airplanes and they've never parachuted, but they're the airborne forces. And like, that's where we're going now as the United Kingdom. And if you consider that the migrant bill every day in the United Kingdom is 8.1 million, so we spend 8.1 million every day on migrants, right? Cancelling Britain's heavy drop capability, so the ability to send in airborne forces, parachute them in behind enemy lines, strike seas and grasp areas, and hold that for subsequent reinforcements. To get rid of that capability for cost savings, do you know how much it's going to save? 15 million a year. It's not even 2 days of migrant hotels. It's nothing. It's literally, it's not even a drop in the ocean. It's so ridiculous. It's unbelievable, guys. It's unbelievable how much we're paying. But when you talk about degradation, that's what it really is. It really is, guys. It's absolutely degrading. The military has been absolutely degraded. And then we're going to, probably going to send those guys over to Afghanistan. You got nothing left. It does feel like that. I tell you what, though, we've got loads of. We're really listen. If you come over on a boat, we can give you a 5-star treatment. David King is saying parachutes are no good if the planes are shot down. Well, you could argue that Marines are no good if the boats are sunk. It's not really an argument. Margaret Thatcher had over 5,000 tanks, now 50. So officially, the United Kingdom have 148 tanks. They are Challenger 2s, and we're not building any more. We are just apparently going to upgrade the tanks that we have got. So if you put that into context, that the Russians are producing 150 tanks every month, and Britain has 148 tanks, and we're not producing any more. Yes, you can absolutely see what's going on, right? You guys can see what's going on. I get it. I get there's going to be some tank guy right now in the chat, and he's going to be saying, but the Challenger 2, the Challenger 2AB with its, and he's going to reel off a load of statistics, right? I get that, yes. The Challenger 2, I would say, is better than the Russian main battle tanks that they're producing. However, we are not producing any, and the Russians are producing 150 a month. So is one British Challenger tank going to be able to take out 150, 150 Russian tanks? I don't think so. I would say that, they only carry, I think they only carry 48 rounds of ammunition. Maybe one up the spout, so maybe 49, I don't know. So physically they can't do that, right? So physically, best case scenario, one British tank, even if it was a miracle, could only ever take out 48 Russian tanks, right? So then you're going to take out 48 Russian tanks, and the other 102 are going to take you to the candy shop. How many are Russia losing a month? Do you know what? That's a good question, actually, Mr. I don't actually know. I don't think anyone will know, actually. I think the only people that will know is the I only think that I think the only people that will know really are the Russians. I don't think they're going to release that information. Hang on. Right, hang on. I knew somebody would say this. I knew so somebody just on the chat has just said quality beats. Somebody on the chat just said quality. Oh no. No. Right. Okay. Yeah. So quantity beats quality. I thought you said that the other way around. Yeah, it does. It does. To an extent, obviously, to an extent, but what the Russians are doing is, and we know this now. We know this because I told you this years ago. I told you guys this in I didn't have social media in 2022, but I told you as soon as I started this, the manufacturing capability, it's huge. And what the Russians are doing as well is they are industrializing manpower. They can industrialize that manpower and push it forwards. But when we're talking about tanks, a good, a really well documented analysis of this is was it the German Panzer divisions? I think did they have Tigers? I think they had Tigers, and they came up across the US. Was it the Chieftain? Was it the Chieftain tanks the US had? The US had just had more than them. The Germans had these brilliant tanks that were powerful. Their armor was thick. They had thick armor. They had a really powerful gun, the turret. They had a fantastic engine. It took a long time to build them. The Americans just sent shitloads of, I think they were Chieftain tanks. And the masses, the quantity beats the quality. And that capability to keep producing them. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are totally going down a sidetrack here. We're going down a sidetrack. We have been talking about the latest in the United Kingdom. The King is now involved. The King's involved in the Epstein fallout. The royal family have released a statement saying that they will, to words to the effect that they will assist in any police investigation. Now, the police are investigating whether Andy Windsor, good old Andy Windsor, that's what he is now, he's just Andy Windsor, whether he has got any, hang on. Sean, please look at Simone Lilliman's last post. Right, let me find Simone Lilliman's post. Sorry, guys. When I'm talking, sometimes I just miss. I miss the chat. Right, let me jump up. Sorry. The best World War III tank is Diane Abbott. Has she become a tank now? Right, let me jump up. Right, Simone Lilliman. How far up is it? Right, I'm going, guys. I'm going to try and get it. Oh, there we are. Hey, Sean, did you hear what happened in France with the man shoving her life? What? Is this? I don't know what this means. Is this what I'm? Hey, Sean, did you hear what happened in France with the man? I don't know what this means, guys. I don't know what this means. I'm struggling. Is this? I don't know what this means. This doesn't make sense. Can somebody interpret this for me, guys? I don't know what this means. Guys, can somebody interpret this for me? Because I have no idea what this means. Sean, did you hear what happened in France with the man shoving her life? World War I. I don't know what this means, guys. I have no idea, guys. I really don't know what this means, guys. Sure, right. I'm just gonna try and right. I'm just gonna try and Google these keywords because I don't know if there's a typo in here. Right. Is this what we're talking about? Is this right? Is this what we're talking about? Hang on. Is this a man turned up at a hospital with a live World War I artillery shell somewhere? The 24-year-old Frenchman forced the hospital to evacuate. He could have blown up much of Toulouse. We have questions. On Saturday night, in a relatively quiet area of Toulouse in southwest France, a 24-year-old man was rushed to hospital. He had an 8-inch long World War I artillery shell crammed into his rectum. The shell was live as he approached. The hospital was evacuated. Staff and patients running for cover as the bomb squads were called in and the fire brigade stood by. So, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, some crazy stuff happens, I guess. I guess some crazy stuff happens. So, no, I didn't hear about that, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't hear about that, but, apparently that happened, right? Well, I don't know where I go with that. But I do know, right? I had a friend who was whose girlfriend. I can't say that word, but yeah. that should go on a t-shirt. I had a friend who worked at his wife, actually. I don't know if they were married, actually. I think they were married. She used to be one of those. She used to do not the radars, the X-ray scans. Like, what's it called? Is it radiology? I think it's radiology. She used to do radiology in a hospital in Wales. And she used to say that the amount of people that come in with things, where they shouldn't be. It's she said it was quite interesting how many people do that sort of stuff and they come in a little bit sheepish. Anyway, listen, ladies and gentlemen, right? The rear gunner. He was the rear gunner. Yeah, maybe he was the rear gunner, guys. Listen, guys, I am going to close this down, okay? The crux of this live stream has been King Charles is now involved in the Epstein files. He's made a public statement. I've mentioned the elephant in the room about King Charles's associations with Savile. It's out there. It's well understood. I don't think we're going to see a King William. I don't think we're going to see a King William. Where do we go with this? The Epstein files. The information is a huge dot. Imagine a huge dot to dot. We don't know where number 1 is, and we don't know where number 3 million is. And people are going to have to dot them together. It may take years to piece all this together, guys. It may take years to piece this together. Every day, more and more information comes out. I think what's very clear is I've not personally seen a smoking gun. I've not seen a smoking gun. I've seen lots of evidence. I've seen lots of emails, and I've seen lots of things that I try and take myself out of context and say, right, imagine I don't know anything about this situation. What am I getting from this information? And I try to look at everything as objectively as I can. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go now. I am going to be back on I'm going to be back on and I'm going to do another live stream about a wild topic. I'm going to be talking about David Icke. We're going to be talking about reptilians and in a potential link to the Prime Minister of Britain. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you good morning. I hope you guys are going to stick around for my next live stream because it's going to be totally wild. And then I might come on later on in the day and do one about space. But if not, I'll be on at my normal times every day at 10, every evening at 8, and I will catch you guys later.